welcome. Tonight, federal government raises hope of restoration of peace and stability to Nigerian Republic as ECOWAS defense chiefs commit to diplomatic solution to the political crisis. The president pledges to deepen domestic utilization of the nation's gas resources, flagged up 1,350 megawatts Gwagwalada Independent Power Plant project. And the Nigerian Navy dismisses as false allegation of oil theft involving MT Prizle, said to have been arrested by private security firm Tentita Security Services in Delta State.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves rebound after 10 consecutive weeks of decline as it rises to $13.14 million week on week.
On sports news tonight, FIFA Women's World Cup knockout stages kick off on Saturday with Switzerland taking on Spain and Japan face Norway in the round of 16 ties.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, Federal High Court Abuja halts alleged move by the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki to have his deputy Philip Shaibu impeached over personal differences.
We begin in the nation's capital, where efforts are being ramped up to resolve the political crisis in neighboring Republic of Niger. The ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff have wrapped up their extraordinary meeting with a commitment to prioritize diplomacy as they seek to restore democratic order in that country. The committee has been deliberating on the political crisis and working towards a resolution within the 7-day ultimatum issued by the ECOWAS leadership. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
With less than 48 hours to the end of the 7-day ultimatum issued by the authority of ECOWAS heads of state and government for the military junta in Niger to revert to the status quo or risk consequences, including a possible military action, the ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff are concluding deliberations on the next line of action. The ECOWAS military chiefs said dialogue and negotiations will be at the forefront of the approach. Aside from condemning the action of the coup plotters, they are committing to combating threats to democracy on the continent.
We have acknowledged the need for a comprehensive approach that encompasses political, security, and diplomatic dimensions. It is imperative that we translate our deliberations into concrete actions that effectively address the crisis and prevent a recurrence in the future. ECOWAS will not be used for coups. Democracy is what we stand for, and democracy is what we sustain. We must intensify our diplomatic efforts to engage with all relevant stakeholders. Dialogue and negotiations should be at the forefront of our approach in resolving the crisis in the Republic of Niger. I'm happy that has been done and that has been carried out.
The Commissioner for Political Affairs and Regional Security at the ECOWAS Commission explains that several measures are being taken by the regional body to negotiate with the junta, stating the regional bloc's determination to ensure democratically backed government are not truncated by unconstitutional means. However, military action to restore civil governance is not a priority for the Commission.
No one be left in doubt about the determination of the heads of state and government of the ECOWAS about the need to put an end to the military coup contagion, which, if not stopped today, nobody will know when it is going to end. There is a steely determination by our heads of state and government to put an end to it and to make an example of Niger, to make sure that never again are we going to allow the disruption of the region's move towards democratic consolidation in our region. That is the determination.
The defense chiefs also pledged to strengthen the regional security architecture to effectively combat threats within the region. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria has not declared war against Niger Republic, but only implementing the resolutions of heads of governments of ECOWAS member states towards restoring order and peace in that country. This clarification is coming from the Acting Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Mr. Bashir Adeniyi. He was speaking in Sokoto, where he had gone to enforce ECOWAS directives to shut down all land borders between member states and Niger Republic. He noted, however, that the measures are temporary.
We all know that trade cannot happen in an environment where there is no peace. So the intention of government is to ensure that we leverage perfectly on the nexus between trade and security. The situation that is happening in our neighbors is such that trade cannot thrive. And so the ECOWAS heads of states has therefore decided, in reaction to what is happening, that has strengthened the peace of not just the country, but has the potential to affect the stability, the political stability of the sub-region, has decided that we should cease trading with our neighbor, the Republic of Niger. This is why the decision to close the land borders with this country has been taken, and my mission here is to restate the directive of President Ahmed Tinubu, not just as the Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but also as the Chairman of ECOWAS, that has decided in their wisdom that one of the things we needed to do was to close the border. So what we are seeing here in the Ilela border would be a temporary thing until we have a final resolution of the crisis in that place. And I'm happy that in my interaction with the community have pledged their support as law-abiding citizens. They have promised that they will support the customs and all the security agencies that are charged with the responsibility of implementing this decision of border closure. Let me just add that what we are having here is not restricted to Ilela border alone. I just came to Ilela first because of the strategic importance of Ilela as the major gateway between us and the Republic of Benin. We are having similar exercise going on in Jibia, in Megatere, and all the other border stations on this flank.
Staying with the Niger crisis, the federal government is giving assurances that ECOWAS, led by President Bola Tinubu, is committed to restoring peace and stability there. This was reaffirmed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Adamu Lamuwa, who highlighted some efforts made so far by the regional body aimed at arriving at an agreeable resolution of the crisis. He was speaking at a press briefing in Abuja, attended by heads of diplomatic missions and other international organizations.
The steps so far taken by ECOWAS authority demonstrate the reality in the region that the worst form of democracy is still better than the best military dictatorship. Likewise, the condemnation of the coup in Niger by the international community is a welcome development. The swift reaction by the international community is a huge testimony to the preference for democracy and constitutional rule to any form of governance. Consequently, Nigeria and indeed ECOWAS calls upon the international community to remain resolute on that stance and continue to show solidarity with ECOWAS for affirming the superiority of democratic and constitutional rule over dictatorship. Our immediate concern remains for the people of Niger, who deserve peace, security, and the right to choose their leaders through transparent and fair elections. We call upon the perpetrators of this coup to step back, respect the rule of law, and engage in peaceful dialogue to resolve whatever grievances they may have. As has been demonstrated through President Tinubu's entreaties since the time of the coup, the Nigerian government stands ready to support any mediation efforts aimed at restoring democracy and stability in the Niger Republic as well as other member states.
Well, talking about ECOWAS decisions on Niger, the president has written to the Senate seeking the support of the National Assembly to implement the resolutions. They were agreed upon by the extraordinary summit of ECOWAS heads of state and government after its meeting on July 30th to discuss the overthrow of President Mohamed Bazoum. The president of Senate, Godswill Akpabio, read the letter during Friday's plenary session.
Request for support in the implementation of the resolutions of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, on the political situation in Niger Republic. Accordingly, the distinguished Senate is invited to note the following and the following actions expected of ministries, extra-ministerial departments and agencies, including military and paramilitary agencies. These actions include: 1. Closure and monitoring of all land borders with Niger Republic and reactivation of the border drill exercise. Cutting off electricity supply to Niger Republic, preventing the operation of commercial and special flights into and from Niger Republic, blockade of goods in transit to Niger Republic, especially from Lagos and the eastern seaports. Military build-up and deployment of personnel for military intervention to enforce compliance of the military junta, to enforce compliance by the military junta in Niger should they remain recalcitrant. Freezing assets of state enterprises and parastatals in commercial banks.
To other stories now. The president has listed the comprehensive forensic audit of the central bank and a thorough overhaul of the civil service payroll as some of the reforms his administration has undertaken to block financial loopholes and revamp the economy. President Bola Tinubu made this known during a meeting with the president of the World Bank, Mr. Ajay Banga, at the presidential villa. Mr. Banga commended President Tinubu for the microeconomic reforms he is championing in Nigeria. He said the ongoing reforms are needed and that the next few months will be crucial to setting the Nigerian economy on the right path.
Basically, we had a very constructive discussion, not just with the president, but also a number of his advisors. And we talked about what was in his mind as priorities. And I commended him for a lot of the things he's doing early in his term. Not easy. Macro fiscal reforms and stability are very important. He's very determined to do the right thing. And I think you will find the World Bank supporting him with not just financial aid, but also with knowledge and thinking around how to create the right regulatory policies and fiscal policies. So we had a very good discussion. It ended very well. Well, the fact is he's doing things that Nigeria needs to be able to do to correct its situation. If you don't correct the situation on fuel subsidy, you have a fiscal deficit that remains unsustainable. So he's trying to do all the right things. Now the question is, how do you navigate through the next few months so that you can set the economy on the right path for the future? As I discussed with him, Nigeria has to be an African champion. If Nigeria becomes an African champion, then we know that the African continent has a country, the largest country with the largest GDP, headed in the right direction. That's his vision, and that vision we share. Now, at this stage, when he's doing so much reform, I wouldn't pay too much credence to any forecast that was made earlier. So I would rely more on where we are going, not a past forecast.
In part two, after the break, the president's shortlist former spokesperson for his presidential campaign council, Festus Kiamo, as ministerial nominee, replaces Mariam Shetty from Kano with Dr. Meriga Mahmood. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Federal government raises hope of restoration of peace and stability to Nigerian Republic as ECOWAS defense chiefs commit to diplomatic solution to the political crisis. The president pledges to deepen domestic utilization of the nation's gas resources, flags of 1,350 megawatts Gwagwalada Independent Power Plant project. And the Nigerian Navy dismisses as false allegation of oil theft, including anti-prizes said to have been arrested by a private security firm, Tantita Security Services in Delta State. And Ukrainian sources say a Russian naval ship has been damaged in a Ukrainian naval drone attack in the Black Sea. Nigeria's gas reserve is yet to be maximized to generate energy and create wealth, and this is according to the president, who is promising to change this narrative. President Bola Tinubu has vowed that his administration will deepen the domestic utilization of gas resources in the country. He made this assertion at the groundbreaking ceremony of the Gwagwalada Independent Power Plant in Abuja. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
The Gwagwalada Independent Power Plants project is a 1,350 megawatts combined cycle power plant, which is being built in Gwagwalada, a suburb of the Federal Capital Territory. The gas power plant, on completion, will be fed natural gas from the Ajaokuta, Kaduna, Kano AKK pipeline, which is currently at its advanced stage of construction. And on completion, the power plant will generate an average of 10.3 million megawatt hours of electricity per year. President Tinubu says the project, which has a 3-year term, must be completed on or even before the agreed time, as energy generation and transition is key to his renewed hope agenda.
The 3-year project must be 3 years. Nigerians are watching, and they are anxious for all the promises made, and those promises must be kept. We will focus on rural electrification to improve the standard of living of people in rural communities and regionalize their socio-economic opportunities.
For the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Mili Kyari, the company is partnering with some international companies to deliver energy for the country.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, this project is a giant step towards achieving NNPC's gas and power mandate to add 5 gigawatts into the national power generation by 2024. Currently, NNPC and partners are delivering about 800 megawatts to the national grid from urban 6 and occupied +1 thermal power plants with combined installed capacity of 1,100 megawatts. We have also completed occupied phase 2 project that will add additional 320 megawatts of power to the national grid and progressing with other plant projects across the country, including those along the AKK pipeline corridor.
However, the National Assembly leadership is sending a message to all parties undertaking the project.
We're going to be watching them closely and let them get ready, because our oversight function of the Ministry of Power, Gas, Petroleum Resources, and NNPC, all of them put together, is going to be more specific, more thorough, to ensure that the taxpayers' money that is well accounted for.
The project is estimated to generate between $700 to $800 million per year within the first 10 years of its completion. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
And to the National Assembly, where the president has sent the name of former spokesperson for the Bola Tinubu Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Festus Kiamo, as ministerial nominee. His name was announced shortly before screening commenced today in a letter read by the President of Senate. He also replaced the ministerial nominee, Miriam Shetty, from Kano, with Dr. Meriga Mahmood, also from Kano. While most of those screened today were asked to take a bow and leave, some others, including former Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, and a nominee from Lagos, Dr. Tunji Alausere, took time to answer some questions on security and health.
We need a very good payer system. If you don't have a payer system, you cannot fix this healthcare system. If we continue to do what we're doing now, where the larger chunk of the funding is coming from government, they say if you do the same thing, don't ever expect to see a different result. You will see the same result. We need a robust payer system. I would like to commend the 9th Assembly. They did something very futuristic. They passed 2 landmark bills: the expanded National Health Insurance Act and the provision for the basic healthcare provision fund. This is really these two bills we can really use it to create a linchpin, a launching pad, and we can build a very robust payer system. What we now need to do is to encourage international insurance companies to come into the country to support, to complement these small, scattered third-party payers that we have today. Big multinational companies like United Health, Humana, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, they will come. We have the population. Once we start getting these international companies to come, they will bring in the technology, funding, robust platform to complement what we have. What we would quickly see is that we will have a private sector where we have a huge sum of money going into the pool, and then the National Health Insurance Scheme can now begin to function as a regulator of the private health insurance sector, and then act as the operator of the government part of the scheme.
I said earlier that I acted as the Director General of the campaign. In this campaign, we drew up a manifesto. That is the manifesto produced by today His Excellency the President of Nigeria. Very robust on how to handle security in Nigeria. While I was the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, where we had a lot of these issues, we took a document, we took a summary, because we considered this comprehensively, and this was chaired by many security experts, and we produced a document. Mr. President, part of this document was, first of all, to look at the roles of traditional rulers. It was under my watch that we produced a document which we thought that was going to form part of the constitutional amendment to allow traditional rulers to be part of addressing security issues in Nigeria. The second one, Mr. President, is that it is a long time that we did recruitment within our security. We need manpower, but we also need technology. It is a long time, and these are part of the manifesto. Without technology, the wars in the world now are fought on with technology. But you can need humans to man this technology. It was the issue, and I said that the former chairman of the Governors Forum is here, 2 of them, and within the Governors Forum produced a document. Now, what was this document? Was to go beyond our traditional issues and to look forward. First, the capacity must be improved of the manpower for the armed forces. Secondly, there must be training and retraining, and then provisions of technology.
Away from the National Assembly, the Nigerian Navy has described as false the allegation of suspected oil theft by MT Prizle following its said arrest by private security firm Tantita Security Service Limited. In a statement, the Navy explains that the shipment of over 1 million litres of high-pour fuel Oil from Taros Jetty at Cocoa Delta State was duly approved by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, a claim it says has been substantiated by the agency. According to the Navy, in line with standard operating procedure and to ensure strict compliance with the NMDPRA approval, naval personnel were deployed on board to monitor the discharge of the product by MT Prizal at a facility at the Bonny Jetty. It adds, the samples of the product on board MT Prizal were collected on Thursday by 5 agencies, including NNPCL, NMDPRA and also TSSL, in line with laid procedures for laboratory tests and verification of the claim. It maintains that as the lead agency in the fight against maritime crimes, the Navy has always been at the vanguard of supporting efforts to halt economic saboteurs. The Navy appeals for caution by all stakeholders in the fight against oil theft to avoid unnecessary impediments to legitimate commercial activities and businesses in the maritime environment. Meanwhile, the owners of the vessel MT Prizal that was arrested by Tantita Security Services over its alleged involvement in crude oil theft say it has been exonerated by the Nigerian Navy. Briefing newsmen in Warri Delta State, counsel to the company says the vessel has all the necessary documents and approvals to carry the product, adding that the company is a responsible and law-abiding organization with a history and track record of compliance with rules and regulations governing the oil and gas industry where it operates.
The vessel did its backloading from the Greenmark depot in Kuku and was en route to its destination, where men of the Tantita security outfit intercepted them somewhere along the Benin River and insisted to board. But the Navy personnel who were duly and lawfully assigned to the vessel said there is no need for them to board. All documentations were shown to them that they can be proceed on their way. They left only for them to Tantita security left only for them to return with reinforcement of about 6 to 7 boats and insisted that the boat stop. Not too long, some officers who presumed to be officers attached to Operation Delta Safe joined them and halted the journey of the boat. It was from this point that the detention of the vessel has been ongoing. And for us, we feel it is an illegality, and it affects greatly the business of the owners of the vessel, who are law-abiding citizens and who have done everything to ensure that they are in compliance with the regulatory authorities' demands and the law of the land. The Nigerian Navy, I might believe, is the chief agency that has to do with all maritime issues, especially when it comes to combating illegality perpetrated on our waterways as regards crude oil theft and all of that. They have said in their statement by the spokesperson that the vessel has all its documentations. What more do they need?
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves rebound after 10 consecutive weeks of decline, rises by $13.14 million week on week. That's on Business News. To join us again. It's now 12 years since Ogoni indigents presented the United Nations Environment Programme UNEP report on the oil pollution and cleanup exercise to the federal government. The report could be said to have led to the ongoing remediation and restoration of areas adversely affected by hydrocarbon pollution from the exploration activities of oil companies. Against this backdrop, the Board of Trustees of the Ogoni Trust Fund has been explaining the progress in the remediation effort.
August the 4th reminds the people of Ogoni in River State of their turning point from the woes of environmental pollution that bedeviled their socio-economic lives for decades, as it is a day that gives them a feeling of hope that the environment would soon be restored and their cries heard. After the federal government's intervention, the United Nations Environmental Programme UNEP was commissioned to carry out a thorough impact assessment and make appropriate recommendations, and that report was presented on the 4th of August 2011, exactly 12 years ago. How much has been achieved by the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remedial Project, HIREP, an organization established by the recommendations of UNEP report to clean up and restore the polluted area? After taking journalists on a 4-day inspection tour of the various remediated lands as well as completed water schemes projects sited in about 9 communities in the Ogoni area, the members of the Board of Trustees of Ogoni Trust Fund give their assessment.
We have come, we have seen, and in a way, I can proudly say that we have conquered. And you saw that with us too. So people need to know that so much had been done at the remediation sites.
There is more to come as the HIREP coordinator, Professor Zabi, enumerated the new projects ongoing, adding that with the total sum of $360 million released since HIREP inception, out of the $1 billion from the trust fund, HIREP is at the top of its game.
Many projects are going on concurrently. Apart from this water project that we've also seen, we've awarded 14 new water projects that will reticulate water to 52 communities in Ogoni land. We have also awarded 34 shoreline cleanup that will clean oil-contaminated shorelines of Ogoni land. We've awarded 9 projects that will pilot mangrove planting in Bomu.
We've not seen this before in the community.
Before, we don't have a place to fetch water, but now I'm happy that we now get a water to fetch anytime we want.
At the kickoff stage of HIREP, the Ogoni cleanup exercise was perceived to have been progressing in a snail's speed. But in recent times, there seemed to be a new energy pumped into the project.
We have more stories from our Abuja studios. Victor Matthias is waiting. Hi, Victor.
Hello, Millicent, TGIF, and welcome to the nation's capital, where we begin with legal matters, where Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court Abuja has issued a temporary order stopping alleged move by the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, to have his deputy Philip Shaibu impeached over their differences. Justice Mohammed issued the temporary order while ruling in a motion on notice filed by Shaibu, praying the court to stop the move to ease him out of office by his principal. In the ruling, Justice Mohammed directed the parties in the suit to maintain status quo till the time the defendants shall show cause, as directed in another ruling of the court made on July the 27th, 2023. Justice Mohammed subsequently adjourned hearing on the matter till August the 10th and ordered that the IGP, the DSS, and Governor Obaseki, who were not represented in court, be served with hearing notices. Shaibu, in his originating summons, prayed the court, among other things, to determine whether, in view of the provisions of sections 186 and 193 of the 1999 Constitution, Governor Obaseki has powers to instigate the IGP and DSS to harass and prevent him from accessing his office to carry out his constitutionally guaranteed duties. Now, troops of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hattering Daji, covering Sokoto, Katsina, Kebbi, and Zamfara states, say they have neutralized more armed bandits, rescued kidnapped victims, and destroyed their hideouts in the northwestern part of the country. It was gathered that armed bandits yesterday attempted to infiltrate and attack Isa local government area of Sokoto State, but troops deployed at forward operating bays, Isa responded swiftly and repelled the attack. Similarly, the troops of Team 8 of Sector 3, Operation Hattering Daji, deployed at Sabon Burni in Sokoto State, conducted clearance operations and destroyed bandits' hideouts at Kusaboni Forest, Tapkingawo, Alumdawa, Ongwar, Melele, and Malamawa villages. The bandits were said to have fled and abandoned their hideouts before the arrival of the troops. Items recovered from the hideouts include 3 motorcycles, 3 AK-47 magazines, and ammunition. Troops also responded to a distress call on bandits' kidnapping activities and rustling of large number of animals, and launched an operation on the routes of the abductors at Kore Town in Batagarawa local government area of Katsina State, where they rescued some kidnapped victims. In other stories, motorists plying the Odupani-Itu-Ikot-Ekpene highway appear satisfied with the level of work done by the federal government on the Okuiboku section of the highway, but say they do not want the project abandoned. The road, which had claimed several lives and properties in the past, especially during the peak of the rainy season, is now becoming a dream come true. It was awarded by the federal government to an indigenous contractor with the delivery date set for 2026.
Motorists and commuters plying the Okuiboku axis of Odupani-Itu Federal Highway have commended the federal government over the progress of work done so far. To them, the project is one which in the past seemed neglected and meted untold hardship to its users. Though the project is ongoing, they fear that it might be abandoned by the contractors in the coming days. They are asking the government of the day to continue funding the project, especially as the rains get heavier around the southern parts of the country.
I shuttle the road very frequently, and I must commend you guys for coming to our rescue, especially in this critical season of the rains. So basically keep up the good works, and I also say that I hope it's not the more you look, the less you see, that will start and then it soon get to completion. So kudos to the good job.
I appreciate them, at least for the little effort that I have seen, what they have done. Please, let them put more effort on it.
Though faced with lots of challenges, the job is still ongoing, and the contractor assures the people of their commitment to continue the rehabilitation exercise on areas that will not be heavily affected by rains.
We are doing concrete work at different sections. The central median work was going on when we passed. You saw that we are also beginning to do the foundation works. We've done the piling 100% in the last bridge we have just seen, but we're beginning to do the pile caps so that the other structures coming up will show. You've walked through the 260 meters bridge, so you can see that it's fully completed. You saw the 60-meter bridge, Hattering Bridge, which is also fully completed. And we have got just 4 bridges to do.
For the chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and his team, who have taken to visit the site to assess the level of work done and quality, the choice of awarding the contract to an indigenous company is a step in the right direction, as the quality of job rendered can be compared to other foreign jobs patronized in the past.
Their performance have justified the fact that the Nigerian engineers can perform as much as their white counterparts. If you observe, you will see that there is no foreign expatriate here among the technical team. You observe that, didn't you? Everything that is being done here is local content, local engineers, and I must tell you, about 90% of the engineers here are Cross-Riverians who are working here. So the engineers are from our states. They are the ones doing the job, and they have taken the job to this length. We must commend Sematech.
Residents, commuters and motorists are hopeful that the 2026 deadline for the completion of the project will be a reality to behold, as they look forward to ply the routes without being trapped by bad portions of the road.
And now to company news. The new look Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC has been unveiled at an event to also commemorate the 30th anniversary of the company in Lagos. Now known as Aradel Holdings PLC, the company's new image, according to its management, is influenced by their heritage, their founders' legacy and future industry path.
These are industry players in the oil and gas sector, gathered to witness history in the making. It's the transitioning of the Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC to a more formidable force in the sector. The chairman says the brand is energized for a bright future.
Our determination, very simple, to be the most successful, the most respected name in the energy space in Nigeria.
This grand unveiling and public launch is a demonstration of the company's resolve to keep driving excellence, and the messages say it all.
It is on record that the company pioneered the concept of marginal field operations when it negotiated the farm out of Ogbele Field in 2000.
I am very, very optimistic that the visions of the founders of Niger Delta is now being given into the very delicate and steady hands of a much, much younger executive.
And now to the big unveil.
Let the unveil begin. Celebrate this new identity. Them go kill it. Them go run it down. Them go hold it. Them go take down.
ARADEL, an acronym for accountability, resilience, adaptability, diversity, excellence, and leadership, also pays tribute to the founding father, Arid Adams of blessed memory, and Delta, where operations started.
Today is the future that was dreamt 31 years ago. And today we start another dream that will become a reality in 10 years, in 20 years, and in 30 years to come. What this means for us is putting ourselves out there and signposting to all Nigerians that we are ready for the next level.
Incorporated as Midas Drilling Fund in 1992, transited to Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC in 1996, and now ARADEL Holdings PLC.
And that's it from the nation's capital, but let's get more company and business news with Anne Nwawedo, who is standing by in Lagos with the latest from the world of business.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Victor. Hello and welcome to Business News. After 10 consecutive weeks of decline, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves rebounded by 13.14 million week on week to $33.97 billion as at August the 2nd. Economic analysts have attributed the rebound largely to the gain in oil prices, which have risen for 6 consecutive weeks now after top producers Saudi Arabia and Russia extended supply cuts through September, adding to undersupply concerns. On Thursday, the Senate raised the alarm over the dire situation of the country's foreign reserves, warning that it has gone into negative territory. Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves, which has been on the steady decline due to numerous factors, was put at $37.07 billion as of January the 3rd, when it commenced this year. Let's head straight to the market now, where it ended today's trading session with another loss. So the color is red today, with more than 35 billion naira in overall value. Eni John Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the final stock market report for the week. And it starts on a sad note, kind of, because the decision of GlaxoSmithKline to exit Nigeria obviously is a sad one. But on the flip side, we've seen investors flock to that stock, and that led it to top the gainers for today. It's gained 9.88%. That's about 8 naira to close at 8 naira 90 kobo, leading the gainers there. Cadbury also led the consumers counter into the positive territory. Top losers today is oil and gas. Profit taking still going on there. The effect of subsidy may be wearing off. I don't know about that. It closed at 21 naira 10 kobo after gaining 9.83%. Now let's look at the sectors and see how all of these gather. The most liquid counter, banking, it recovered yesterday, but profit taking is back on it. Almost 0.5% down at the close of trade. Eternal Oil, I told you about, profit taking on it also. But when it comes to consumer goods, positive sentiment. We've seen Dangote Sugar, Flour Mill, Cadbury. They did this magic on consumer goods, 0.77%. And then this summarizes into a negative market at the end of it. All share index down 0.1. It's marginal. I guess we can live with this. 65,000 is still index point there, thankfully, and 35 trillion naira is the market cap. And this, of course, has led to the return of the bear on the floor. So So the bear has its resting place right here on the floor of the NGX all through the weekend until next week. We hope it begins on a better note. But that's the stock market report. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. It's back to you, Millicent. Thanks, Anne. Announced from around the world in 5. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny's jail term has been extended to 19 years. Mr. Navalny was found guilty of founding and funding an extremist organization, but he denied the charges. The trial was held in a remote penal colony where he has been since 2021, serving a 9-year jail term for parole violations, fraud and contempt of court. Here's Simon Pusey with other international stories.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukrainian sources say a Russian naval ship has been damaged in a Ukrainian naval drone attack in the Black Sea. This supposed video of the drone crashing into the ship near a Russian port, which is a major hub for Russian exports. Russia's defense ministry said it had repelled a Ukrainian attack, but this footage purportedly shows the ship, called the Olengorsky Gornyak, being tugged back to port. Ukraine says the vessel suffered serious damage. Former US President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty in a Washington, D.C. court to conspiring to overturn his 2020 election defeat. During a short arrangement, after entering through a back door of the courthouse, he spoke softly to confirm his not guilty plea, name and age. He later told reporters that the case was persecution of a political opponent.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much, everyone.
As always in America, there were protests both in favor and against Trump. It marks the former president's 3rd appearance in 4 months as a criminal defendant. About 1,000 defendants charged with participating in the storming of Congress on the 6th of January 2021 have appeared in the same court building. Meanwhile, Joe Biden refused to answer questions as he took a bike ride in Delaware. The president pedaled down a path in Gordon's Pond State Park, surrounded by staff and his security detail. He was thrown a question about the former US President Donald Trump's recent indictment, but did not comment.
Mr. President, any reaction to Trump's indictment?
Do you have a reaction to Trump's arraignment in D.C. today, Mr. President?
Niger's ousted leader has urged the United States and entire international community to help restore constitutional order after last week's coup. In an opinion piece in the Washington Post, President Mohamed Bazoum said he was writing as a hostage. He also warned that the region could fall further under Russian influence via the Wagner Group, which already operates in neighboring countries. Niger's West African neighbors have threatened military intervention. At least 6 people have been confirmed dead in a landslide in Georgia's mountainous Racha region, with at least 35 people still missing. The landslide happened at a popular holiday and mountaineering destination, and rescuers were unable to access the site until after midnight. Racha is a region in the northwest of the South Caucasian country near the Russian border. It is estimated that the villages affected in the Racha region were buried under 5 million cubic meters of mud. The Slovenian army have deployed helicopters to rescue people trapped by floods in Sloven Gradec, a northern Slovenian town. Torrential rains, which authorities described as biblical, have hit northern and western Slovenia, disrupting traffic, causing blackouts and leading to evacuations. Cars and vehicles were swept away by torrents in Skofja Loka. Rescuers struggled to reach flooded areas and issued a public call for rubber boats in places where roads were closed and impassable due to landslides. And Britain's King Charles will not mark the first anniversary of the death of Queen Elizabeth with an official public event or private family gathering. Charles ascended to the throne on September the 8th after the death of his mother Elizabeth, but the first anniversary of the day she died will not be a public affair. The King and his wife, Queen Camilla, will be spending the day quietly and privately, said a spokesman for Buckingham Palace. In doing so, Charles follows in the footsteps of his mother, who used to spend the anniversary of her father's death in the same way. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Here in our sports center, things are about to get down to the wire at the Women's World Cup, and Super Falcons head coach Randy Waldrum says his team is ready for the challenge against European champions, the Lionesses of England, in the round of 16. He says they will achieve the game with the same mentality they displayed against the top teams in the group phase. More stories now from that particular tournament to the fixtures at that tournament, where Switzerland and Spain will kick off the round of 16 game encounter at Eden Park in New Zealand at 6 a.m. Nigerian time. The victor from that match will play the winner of Netherlands and South Africa in the quarterfinals, while Group C winners Japan and Norway are billed for a showpiece at Wellington Regional Stadium in New Zealand the same day. Now, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta is bracing up for another challenge in Sunday's Community Shield match against Manchester City, calling Pep Guardiola's side the best in Europe. Arteta is hoping his side can challenge on every front next season as it bids to lead them to a better campaign after last season's second-place finish in the Premier League. And reigning FIBA Women's Afro-Basket champions Nigeria will face Senegal in Saturday's final at the BK Arena in Kigali, Rwanda, as the Tigers push for a 4th continental trophy in a row. If they succeed, they will become the only second nation to have done so after Senegal having defeated their latest foe in 2015, 2017, and 2019. That's it on Sports News. I'm Jeff Rosen. Millicent is back to you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. And the main news again. The federal government today raised hope of restoration of peace and stability to Niger Republic as ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff committed to prioritizing diplomacy as they seek to restore democratic order in that country. And President Bola Tinubu has pledged to deepen domestic utilization of the nation's gas resources. The president gave the assurance as he flagged off 1,350 megawatts Gwagwalada Independent Power Plant project. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night and stay safe.